So hi there again. Today's session we'll be looking at lateral positions. So I'd like to start off doing some variations around the theme of Parighasana, the gate pose. So we're going to grab a brick or equivalent and place it to our right side. Kneeling up, knees under the hips, we're going to bring our left leg to the side so that the left heel is in line with the right knee. And the front of the left leg is looking forward. Before we do anything, one hand is going to go onto the lower abdomen, the other onto the solar plexus just under the sternum. And close your eyes and just think for a moment. Bring your thinking and your mind into those 2 points of the torso. And then maybe let out a nice sigh. Feel the lower abdomen coming in gently towards your body, while the solar plexus, as per normal, moves towards the chin. And remember, the sigh allows us to drop down that weight as well. So as a result of the dropping down of the weight, you feel the rebound coming up through particularly the spine of your body. So always being very aware of those 2 points, we're going to bring our hands out to the side. And then at this point, particularly, feel that lower abdomen sinking in to the spine, yeah? And as you do, we're going to bring our right hand to the right-hand side and onto the brick. And just spend a moment like that. A lot of us tend to already cave the solar plexus in, so be very careful. The solar plexus is still moving towards the chin. Now, if this is too high or if you're not feeling anything, feel free to move the brick down a notch. So in this case, to position 2. And your upper arm and hand are more or less in line with the upper shoulder. Now again, you can continue lowering the brick. And at all times, remember that lower abdomen is moving in. The solar plexus is actively searching for the chin. So you should be feeling a very nice extension throughout the torso. And the harder this becomes, the more you have to turn your attention to that lower abdomen that is being sucked in. You can remove the brick if you want and move your fingertips onto the floor. We also need to keep on repeating to ourselves the importance of the retroversion here. So the pubic bone is moving upwards. And to a certain extent, it's as if we're pushing the whole of the pelvis forward, because we want both buttocks in line. So think that the right hip is in line with the right knee. For most of us, it will be behind. So you'll need to think about bringing it forward. Now, again, if this is easy, you can move to have the hand flat on the ground, but don't move the hips back like so. Keep on moving them so they remain in line with the knees. Now, when we come out of this position, we're going to be even more conscious of bringing that lower abdomen in, which protects the back as we come up. So if nothing else, work that area when you come. Spend a moment just sitting in Vajrasana, feeling the effects of one side of this lateral position. Then we're going to do the other side. Starting off high, position 3 of the brick, maybe spending just a brief moment re-establishing contact with those 2 points of the torso. Make sure you start off already with the hips in line with the knee. Hands out to the side now. And then on the next exhalation, we can start to bring our hand over to the brick. And spend a moment before you then start to bring the brick down, if that is necessary, If already on position 3, you're at your limit, then you just stay there. And then all thoughts should be turned towards those 2 points of the torso. Lower abdomen in, but at the same time, pushing gently the pelvis forward so the pelvis remains in contact with the knees. And when you do this, feel how this opens up the whole of the torso. If you want to bring it down to position 1, the brick, you may do so. Every now and then do a wonderful sigh to allow space to emerge from the shape that you're creating with your body. And eventually you can come down to the floor, hands flat. And so that feel like a lot, if not most of the positions, we still have to turn back to the belly, to the pelvis area, in order for alignment and correct action to take place. And then with a strong mental presence on the lower abdomen, sucking that in, you can start to come up. And then sit for a moment in Parighasana. Now we'll do both sides again. Again, the concept is if you already feel you're at your maximum, then please don't lower the brick down anymore. If instead things are going well, we'll add arm action as you're about to see. So let's go back to the first side. Remember, the heel of the outstretched leg is in line with the bent knee. Focus on the 2 points a minute of your abdomen. If you need the brick, get it in line. If you don't need the brick, then just remove it. Arms now outstretched, and then on the next exhalation, we're going to come down. And don't be in any rush. Just take your time. Maybe you don't need the brick, so start off on your fingertips, moving the hips in line with the bent knee, before you can then start to bring more of the fingers down towards the ground, eventually ending in the flat of the hand being down. And at all times, remember, the lower abdomen remains in even while you're pushing your pelvis forward. If you want to just make sure that both your buttocks are in line, touch them. It's a good form of feedback touch. Now, for those of us who are already more comfortable, we can rotate the left arm and hand to look towards the head and start to bring the arm any amount you want over the head, but don't let the arm come forward. We want to keep the arm in line with the shoulder. And then again, just breathe. Now, everything is optional. You have no necessity whatsoever to add this arm movement, which is very, very strong. For those of you doing it, feel the connection between the arm movement and the abdomen. You can't move your arm without moving the abdomen. Obviously through a succession of muscle chains. Okay, and then you can bring your arm back to where it was before. Maybe now put your left hand onto the lower abdomen, suck it in, and then you can come back up. Change sides. Relocate the 2 points of your torso under your hands a minute. And then when you're ready, on the next exhalation, start to come down. And as you stay there, you can start to investigate if you can change the support under your hands, or if you don't have support, whether you can manage to put the full flat of the hand down. But don't get distracted. Always go back to the center of the body. What's it doing? How's it feeling? And if there's any particularly intense tension going on, then I recommend always doing a wonderful exhalation without collapsing the overall shape. That exhalation allows us to move in without resistance into the stretch that you're creating. Okay, and now, for those of you who want, you can rotate your arm, your right arm and hand towards the head, and then start to bring that arm over. Remember, keep the hips in line with the knee. It's way easy, way too easy to allow those hips to come back. And therefore, you essentially make redundant the work that you're currently doing. So feel what's happening in the torso. Give in to it. And then you can bring your hand up, put it onto your belly, suck in that lower belly, and just come up. And sit for a moment, once more in Vajrasana. So from the lateral position, Parighasana, we're now going to move towards a couple of standing positions, which are also lateral. So we're going to have our feet apart. The distance is about one of your legs' lengths distance. Put your hands back in the normal 2 places of your torso a minute. Bend your legs ever so slightly and feel the presence of the feet on the ground. Incidentally, the feet should be parallel, so be very careful of that. If the feet are even remotely incorrect, then you see it immediately on your hips, and by definition then that hits your spine. So please make sure that the feet are parallel and in line with one another. So feel the 2 points of your torso doing what they should be doing. But then let's bring in another concept, which is the triangle of the foot that I talk a lot about, particularly above all when we do any kind of standing position. Essentially, we want the base of the big toe, the base of the little toe, and the central part of the heel pushing down, and that activates the arches of the foot and allows for a more effective rebound to come from the ground and through our body. So feel that just a minute. Make sure your shoulders are nice and relaxed. If by any chance your shoulders are under tension, then just drop your arms down a moment. But even as your arms drop down, make sure that that doesn't drag the spine down. The spine follows its lead by that permanent upward motion of the solar plexus. Okay, and then from there we're going to bring our hands out to the side and straighten our legs, but do so really, really slowly, feeling the triangle of the foot pushing against the floor, but feel that the reaction of the straightening of the leg is more this idea of sucking the legs into the hips themselves. And then leaving the left foot where it is, we're going to rotate the right leg out to the side. That right heel is going to be in line with the arch of the back foot. And then just ever so slightly bend that right leg. And we don't want to change throughout this next part. We're not going to change the bend in any way of that leg. Lower abdomen in. On the next exhalation, we will bring the front of the right hand to the inner part of the right knee, like so. From there, without changing the bend of the right knee, we're going to slide that hand down. So maybe you start to put the lower arm against the inner right knee. Maybe you can't, doesn't matter. Just keep on sliding until such time as you can't anymore. And then go back mentally to the 2 points of your torso and sort them out. Lower abdomen in and solar plexus almost moving forward. It gives you the idea, the movement of the solar plexus kind of gives you the idea that you're almost leaning back. And you'll notice if you do that well, that it opens the whole of your chest, which is what we need. Okay, now without changing the torso and without changing that contact between, whether it be the front of the hand or the front of the lower arm against your knee, don't change that contact in any way. And start to suck in the right leg into the right hip. So if you slowly do that, then that gives you a chance to monitor what's happening in the torso, because your torso should not in any way change. In general, what happens is you start to bring the head and the shoulders and the chest slightly forward. But what we really want to do is it's a kind of guide. We want to more or less have the torso in line with the right leg. And make sure you don't block the breathing. Make sure the throat is nice and open. And then put the right hand on the lower abdomen. That now works a little bit more. You suck it in as you push the floor away with your right foot and come up. Go back to the center, so both feet are parallel facing forward. And then move your foot to the other side. So it's the left foot now that just swivels completely around 90 degrees. And the left heel is in line with the arch of the right foot. Take a moment now just to feel the 2 points of your torso. Bend the left leg a little bit. Bring the arms out to the side. And then on the next exhalation, being very aware of the triangle of the feet and the 2 points of the torso, start to bring the front of the left hand to the inner part of the left knee. And then from there, we can start to slide that hand down any amount, or maybe not at all. That is totally dependent on you. Don't bend the leg any more than when you first started bending it. So it's the hand and the upper arm, the lower arm, sorry, that slides along the knee. And then with your mind in contact with those 2 points of the torso, you can start to suck up the left leg into your left hip, observing that you do not change in any way the torso. So again, oftentimes when we do this, when we start to straighten the leg, the torso, the head, everything just goes up. And then the full benefits of the position you just don't really get. Now, it's true there's a lot of stretch going in the legs, but we want to carry that stretch over towards the upper part of the body as well. And then place your hand, your left hand on the abdomen, suck it in, and then pushing away with the left foot, we're going to come back to the center. So the second time we do this, we'll see if we can slide down that side knee a little bit more. So let's get going. Back to the right side. Right heel in line with the arch of the left foot. Hands outstretched. Bend ever so slightly the right leg. And then from there, come over. Front of the hand initially onto the inner knee. And then you can start to slide down. Don't bring your head forward. Don't bring your chest forward. Don't collapse the solar plexus. As a guide, make sure that your shoulders are in line with your front leg. So if that means you're up here high, great. With time, it gets easier. Remember to breathe. And then for those of you who can, maybe you can slide down a little bit more. So maybe now you can have your elbow on the inner knee, or maybe the upper arm, who knows? And then when you straighten the right leg, it in no way interferes with what's happening with the torso. So be very slow and honest when you do this. Feel the triangle of both feet working, pressing down solidly into the ground so we can get the true effects of the rebound coming and lightening everything. Okay, and then right hand on your lower belly. Inhale, and you can come up. Go back to the center a minute. And then come round to the other side. Bend the left leg ever so slightly. Feel the triangle of both feet and the 2 points of the torso. Arms, hands outstretched, and then on the next exhalation, come to the left-hand side. First the front of the left hand on the inner knee, and then from there you can see how far you want to slide down. And remember, try and keep your shoulders in line with the left leg. Observe the breathing. And then on the next exhalation, slowly we can start to suck in the left leg and monitor at all times what's happening in the torso, in the head. So if anything, suck in the lower abdomen a little bit more. And maybe you need to push out your chest a little bit. These are all very subjective instructions though, so it depends on the body. Which is why I personally prefer this idea of the lower abdomen just comes in, solar plexus moves up towards the chin, because that's a pretty much well standard instruction, which guarantees a nice open chest for breathing. Okay, and now the left hand moves onto the lower abdomen, and then on your next inhalation, you can just come up like so. So the last lateral position I want to do today is Parighasana. So maybe grab a brick if you need it, and we'll start off once more with the legs wide apart, maybe slightly wider than what you had in Trikonasana. So we'll put the brick slightly in front of the right leg. Again, let's start off with the legs bent. If nothing else, because you start to feel this very solid contact between the feet and the floor. And it's nice as well because you feel all the muscles starting to melt and get wider on the floor, which is exactly what we want. When we start to straighten the legs, it is this idea of the legs entering solidly into the hips. And speaking of which, let's just leave our hands on the hips for the moment. We're going to rotate the right foot outwards 90 degrees. And maybe have the brick in front of the ankle. Starting off position 3, and maybe from there working our way back. Move yet one more time to the 2 points of the torso before moving the hands out to the side, bending the right leg. This time we're going to bend it so we produce a 90-degree bend between the tibia and the femur, and it might be you need to slide that back leg a little bit further back behind you to get that. So we're really sitting down here, and be careful of the right knee. That does not want to collapse in. It has to remain over the ankle. So if that's hard, then don't get the 90-degree bend, come up a wee bit more until such time as you can simply bring that knee in alignment with the ankle underneath. And then move your hands out to the side. On the next exhalation, a bit like Trikonasana before, we can place our right hand in front of the right knee. Only here we have got the brick. And the left hand, left arm is in line with the shoulder. We just spend a moment like that. Now, if that's okay, you can bring it down a little bit more, but be careful. We continuously want that knee, the right knee, to be in line with the ankle. And the lower abdomen is permanently moving in. We want a nice strong retroversion with the hips here. And then on your next inhalation, we can come up. And we'll just have a break. While we're having a break, let me just be quite clear about this idea of retroversion. Retroversion is when the buttocks are sliding down. So it's essentially the posterior part of the body is coming down this way, while the anterior, the front part of the body is coming up. So this is what's happening. So I always say, if you want a retroversion, think of your pubic bone, which is moving up, and your buttocks sliding down. So it's that, the action. So let's try the other side, Parighasana. Get your brick in place. And start off with both legs bent, just to feel the triangle of the feet down. Lower abdomen in, solar plexus doing what it should do. And then suck in both feet. Remember, the left heel is in line with the middle arch of the right foot. So be careful you have that alignment. And then the hands come out to the side and you can start to bend the left leg. Now when you're bending, don't bring your body forward over your left thigh. The sides of your body need to remain in line with your hips. And then on the next exhalation, you can bring the left hand onto the brick, which is in front of your left foot. And then you return to the 2 points of your torso, lower abdomen in, solar plexus coming strongly towards your chin, so it gives us the idea that we're moving, we're leaning back with the scapula. Breathe. And then breathing in, you can come up like so. Move your feet back to being parallel with one another. And then here on the next exhalation, we're going to just do a forward fold, like so. Parighasana. And now return back to the triangle of the feet. So really push down the base of the big toe, the base of the middle toe, the center of the heel, and bend your legs ever so slightly. Now, if it's difficult to touch the ground, I'd have bricks under the hands or grab a chair. You can stay up nice and high. There's no problem with that at all. But keep on pushing down with your feet. And then, as and when you feel you can stretch the legs, remember, same thing. The pressure of the feet means that the leg kind of grows in towards the hips. And then as we spend a moment in Parighasana, feel that on the one hand, you have got your pelvis moving back behind you. And on the other, you've got your solar plexus moving in front.